So we had a little funny little entertainment that was kind of cool. My girl Promise Batista, check it out. You can find her Promise Batista on Instagram. Please book her. It's a great show and she's a love. And you can see she's a real sweetheart.
Kelvin, you all right, Kelvin?
Kelvin, you still got?
Yeah.
You still with me?
I'm looking to see the next sponsor we're gonna try to do.
Oh man, we're just having some fun, just having a good time, So
very, very engaging.
So now we're gonna get a little serious now with our next guest. This is also another one of my sisters, my good friend, Miss Donna Hylton, and Donna will tell you all about her lifestyle. Donna has a great journey we're gonna talk about prison reform, her life and where she's at now. The great things that she got going on, and Donna will give you some stuff. So welcome, ladies and gentlemen, Miss Donna Hylton.
I think we might be having some technical difficulties.
We got technical difficulties with Donna?
Yeah,
okay.
Okay, cool. So we could just talk about anything. We could go back talk about Promise. We're waiting for Donna to get on. We could talk about one thing, with the Trump administration, he want to say that he did so many things for Black people in prison reform, and I think we all noticed some real BS. We talked about it before. The only people he really let out before, a lot of drug dealers. He didn't let out a lot of political figures. And Donna's going to be one of the people that will actually talk about how Trump actually blocked her from even coming to the White House. So how do you guys feel about what Trump says about this whole prison reform type of thing and stuff like that?
I think it's an optics thing. I don't think he cares about prison reform. It's just something that he uses to try to get reelected and try to gain some Black votes. That's what I think.
That's the season. Yeah, that's the season we're in, though. You know what I mean? It's like we all of a sudden Black people exist every 4 years. You know what I mean? And it's like now the thing is prison reform. So everybody's rushing to the finish line or whatever.
Yeah.
To get on that. You know what I mean? And you're going to get the same thing from the Democrats, Republicans. Maybe it's good that just we're in the conversation. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So,
See, the thing is, I don't have an issue with prison reform, but the thing is, everybody's not in prison. You know what I mean? So I don't think any of us have been to prison. There's some other thing.
No.
Don't get me wrong. There's a lot of brothers in there that need to be let out. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
Or they paid their debt to society and they still gave them football numbers. But the reality of it is prison reform. I don't want it to seem like every Black man's in jail. That's why we need prison reform so bad. You know what I'm saying?
I agree, Rodney. We need a few things I can think of a few things that are more important than prison reform. You know what I'm saying? It seems to me, but to me anyway. You know what I mean?
Like better education for our kids.
Yeah, obviously, if you're in prison, then you prison reform. You know what I mean? Yeah. But that's the thing. You know what I mean? I think it probably goes along the lines of previous marketing. You know what I'm saying? Just the police brutality and just the sentencing and everything situation, and then they kind of deal with that. Prison reform while you're there. So
my thing is you talking about after they get out, can we have some more programs to stop them from getting in?
We're not proactive like that. I think that's been one of the issues. That was one of my concerns. We're not as proactive. I can say this. I had some family members who were career criminals. And I'm not trying to be judgmental. It's just honest. I had cousins that really did a lot of time and for a long time. I'll say this. The path that they were on, everybody saw it before they got there. I don't know that everybody tried to step in and do something. I can think of certain people that were sent out in the street to do crime so they could take care of the family. And it usually be like the oldest boy if your father was locked up or something like that. And we don't discuss that. I remember when there was a big issue with the Rockefeller laws. And I think Russell Simmons was really, really making a lot of headlines because he was so against, how unfair it was to our young people who were given, decades and change in jail. And I agree with him. My question was, did Def Jam and all of the music industries and things like that get together and say, when we seeing, if you remember in the 90s, you could go past the average bodega and there'd be like 6 teenagers outside selling drugs and everybody knew it. And I don't know that the aunts and the uncles and the fathers and the cousins were out there as vested in trying to keep them from there. I remember a young man who he had no job and he was every week driving to Texas and driving to Virginia and all this stuff like that. He would come back and have new Jordans and new clothes, and the mother's like, "Oh, that's nice, and that's nice, and that looks good." And I'm saying, does anybody realize he doesn't have a job? Like he's not. He just traveling state to state, and then when he wound up going to jail, then we all at the altar praying, and everybody's crying. And I'm saying, why don't we ever see this from the beginning? And I think if that's what you're mentioning, D, I totally understand it.
Yeah. So I think we fixed our technical issues. I think we able to get Donna. Donna, are you here? Oh, here she comes. That's my sister.
I'm here. Can you see me? Hear me? Hi.
Hey, Donna, how you doing?
I'm sorry, I'm still in transit, but I'm here. I'm here.
I appreciate it, Donna. I appreciate you taking time. I know you're coming from a event tonight, so welcome to Chop It Up.
A wedding.
So
yeah,
wedding. I hope they still married. Are they still married?
Yeah, so far. When I left.
hey, things happen quick, man. Listen, I know somebody got married. I know people got married on Friday, divorced on Monday. So you know,
we won't even go there.
And I should have been one of them. God damn it! But, that's a long, long time ago. We don't talk about that right
now. That's another
talk
show.
That's another topic in my life. So Donna, listen, Donna, I've known you for a lot of years now since you've been home and stuff like that. And so, can you just give people a backstory? Donna was formerly incarcerated and stuff like that. Can you give a story of how'd you wind up in prison and how much time you did and stuff like that? Then we're gonna go into a whole bunch of stuff like that.
Yeah. So hi, thanks for having me on. We'll chop it up, right? Let's chop it up. Yeah. So I was trafficked. I was sexually trafficked to this country by a couple. I was from Jamaica. I was 7.5. They brought me here. By the time I was 9.5, the man that was now supposed to be my father started taking me to a closet and raping me almost daily. And I didn't have any good adult help, right? Positive adult figures that would help. At 12, I went to school to try to tell. That didn't work out, and so I just really didn't say anything. Does that mean that, it excused a crime? No, what I'm saying is that there's a story, right? Everyone is a story. We never know what happens in the life of a person. And then, when we don't listen to kids, and telling, when they're saying that they're hurt, someone's hurting them, or, something's wrong, then this is what can happen. So, I ran away. I ran away with an older man who said that he would help me. And I believed him. I just needed to get away. Finally, an adult said they would, they're listening, they would help me. And that, he became my worst nightmare. And as a result, I have a daughter. And I was severely abused by him. So I just kept making many, taking wrong turns, but I didn't have any positive role models. I didn't have anyone, talking to me. People take advantage of you. And one thing that I learned, predators know prey. And so there's a lot of predators. There are a lot of predators. They have their own story, but there are a lot of predators. And so as a result, I got caught up in, into a situation that I could not get out of. It's a crime. And the crime was kidnapping and murder. And there's a victim in the crime. And, these people were making decisions. I was a victim in the crime as well. It's just a series of just turns, twists and turns that I didn't have really any positive role models. One of the things that was said about me, I remember this, was that, oh, she's so smart. Yeah, but when a kid is smart, they're smart because they know how to read, right? And comprehend, and math and all these things, science, right? That has nothing to do with life. Kids should not be put in a position where they're making adult decisions. They have to figure things out. How are they going to do that? It's the adults in their lives that are supposed to protect them or take care of them. Kids should not be, responsible for adult decisions or adult failures either. So.
Yeah. You was extremely younger. I mean, considering the age, most adults, we don't develop most grown people don't develop thought process at age 25. How old were you when you went to prison, and how many years did they sentence you to?
I had just turned 20, and they sentenced me to 25 to life. And wow. And I was an adolescent when back in the 80s, it changes every decade. It changes the age of development, of adulthood. But then I was still not even an adult for the system. And so I was placed in the adolescent, unit at some point. But I still couldn't make decisions for myself even within that system. So the argument was like, well, how do you expect a young person to like, how do you rationale that, like, given a young person life? I know that there are people do bad things, but you think you have to look at the whole story. You have to look at the whole picture, right? Everyone has a story. Something's happened in that person's life. Does it excuse crime? Does it excuse bad behavior? No, it doesn't. But it helps you to get an understanding, and then you should know how to treat the person. A lot of people, and we've talked about this, a lot of the women that I've done time with that are still in there, they were abused so bad, and they might have snapped one day, or they were treated so horribly and nobody cared, and they just throw you away, and they want to throw you away and throw the key away. But that's not really how it goes. That's not reality. So you have to start looking at the whole person and seeing what happened or didn't happen in a person's life to see what type of help they need. We always want to lock something up. We want to criminalize it. We want to penalize it. We never want to solve it. We never want to help cure it. Those are band-aids, and they don't
Right.
work.
Yeah, lots of times the system
And they're
victimizes.
cruel band-aids.
What you saying, Rod? I'm sorry.
I said lots of
Uh-huh.
times the system victimizes the victim. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
They didn't do any
Oftentimes.
research into your story
Mhm.
to find out how did you get to that place where you committed that crime, and basically you've been victimized majority of your whole life. Is that correct?
Well, yeah, like, so when you get arrested and you go into the trial process, they have this thing called the pre-sentence hearing, right? And so
Mm-hmm.
they develop this pre-sentence report on you. So I remember it's a parole officer. So I remember speaking to this man, and I didn't know what it was. I'd never been arrested, never had any trouble, none of that, never. So he's asking me all these questions. So I'm telling you, this 20-year-old, just turning 20, is telling you that I was brought to this country, right? Um, and and then I was molested. I did remember saying it, right? And I was like, I just said, tell me your story. So I told him. That was like the next time I told, actually, for many, many years. But when I said I was 14, I ran away at 14. That wasn't a flag. I was pregnant at 15. That wasn't
Yeah,
a flag. I was
yeah,
pregnant by an older man, and then I didn't have anywhere to go. I didn't have anybody. Those weren't red flags for you. So you just continue to write this whatever. And when I finally actually had an opportunity to see the pre-sentence report, what he was saying, what was written was, she says allegedly this and allegedly that, and they still don't want to validate, and confirm, affirm your experience. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
And so,
yeah.
like, what do you do with that?
It
Mhm.
sounds like
So yeah, the
it
system
almost
fails
sounds.
it. Okay.
Yeah, no, I'm just saying it almost sounds like perhaps they use that in your sentencing to actually, to prove maybe that you have less
Exactly.
work or something like that. Yeah, yeah, that's
Yeah.
crazy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They
Yeah,
do
the
that,
thing.
and they do that with black and brown kids, right? They do that with our children, us, right? That not we when we act out or something's wrong, we don't behave the way they want us to behave. Then something's wrong with us. We're monsters. We're thugs. We're this. We're that. No, that's not the truth. Oftentimes, our kids are intelligent, and you're not giving them the opportunity to express themselves. Or oftentimes, they're so poor that they're so hungry and they're so abused that they're lashing out and they need help, but you don't want to pay that any attention because it doesn't matter to them.
Yeah. And like
Yeah,
some of
I
people
want
just saying, like, go ahead. Sorry, Rodney.
D. Thanks, D. I just want to give like a little insight into how the district attorney's office works. They don't have the ability to care because basically they're flooded with cases, and their job is basically to get all of those cases off their
Yep.
desks. So they
Yep.
basically they're basically trying to get everybody to plea out or basically get them convicted as quickly as possible. They don't really take that much time to look into a person's background to see if they were from a terrible home,
Mhm.
to take that into
Mhm.
consideration or whatever. And that's just the reality of the system. And with the way the district attorney runs it, they just want to close those cases and that's it. Put you in jail or get you to cop out. That's it.
Yeah. And like,
But let's
yes,
be clear too. I'm sorry, but let's be
go
clear
ahead.
too. They don't even care about a victim. They don't even care about a victim, because what I remember, it was like a show, like everybody was putting on the show, and I was just talking about it actually just a few minutes ago before we came on, like how the judge Torres, in my case, who I didn't even know he was having a production deal going on at the time, and he was the robes flowing. He's talking about, oh well, I know what it's like to be in a gang. I'm from Spanish Harlem, and I mean, it was everything was. I remember that clearly, all about him. And it was like, and then he's going on, he's doing production deals and stuff. He's writing a major movie deal, you know what I mean, from his book that he took. He put pieces of cases that he presided over to create Carlito's Way. I mean, it's all a joke. Oh, wow. It's a joke.
Wow. So, we had what's the young brother that was the Jay-Z trying to help out? The young brother that did the documentary, Khalif. Browder.
Meek? Khalif Browder. Oh, Khalif Browder. Yeah.
He went to jail at 16, 17 years old. And we're talking like, and Donna, some of the things like people don't understand, like what's one of the biggest differences, like what you see from female prison compared to male prison? Like people don't understand how difficult it is for a woman to go to jail. Now, I worked in immigration. I saw the difference between women and men. Can you let people know what's the difference what you see from the women in prison to men? We lose Donna?
Kind of.
Donna?
No, she's still here.
I'm here. I didn't hear that. Say that again.
Can you explain what's the difference that you see from a woman's prison compared to men and like the visits and stuff like that? What do you see? How does family treat you?
Oh,
women and women and men.
You remember it well. So I always, one of the things I always like to tell people, is what happens to the young women when they're in the prison, in the system. No one goes. The visiting room is so empty for women that it's cruel when you think about it. A woman gets entire family kind of is just destroyed, right? And that's not taken away. But we know women are the backbone. We know women are the backbones in communities. There's no one rushing to the prison to look after, take care, taken away. They're placed in the system. A friend or somebody might take the children, and then she has to go through so much. And it's not to gain sympathy, but it's to get people to understand why aren't we respected and valued? Why doesn't anyone nurture us? We're always nurturing everyone else. The visitor room it takes special holidays and special buses that are created to get people to go visit women, but they're lines. They keep them an hour is the length of your visit if you go see a man, and the hour, and then, okay, next. You don't have that. You don't have a waiting area, anybody waiting in line to see a woman in prison. And something's wrong with that. And now, you come out here, you see what's going on out here, but you see that black women are the most disrespected and undervalued and underappreciated human beings in this world. Period.
And lately, recently in recent times, I know they had the women marches going on and stuff like that, and women's rights and stuff. And I know you was on the front line for some of those things. And a lot of people don't know that you were actually blocked from the White House. Can you expound on why the Trump administration blocked you? Because I know I seen you out there, Rosario Dawson. Rosario Dawson. Rosario and I used to date in my head years ago, long time ago. That was my girlfriend. That was my
You're always saying that.
That was my girlfriend back in my head a long time ago. Tell her I love her and I miss her.
I'm sending a message.
Yeah, so can you talk about why Trump blocked you and just tell us about that. Did we lose Donna? Uh-oh. I think she's frozen again, y'all, right?
Yeah, it's cutting out a little bit.
Yeah.
Go through this spot.
Hold on. I'm coming back.
She's frozen on the screen. I can hear
Hello?
her. Yeah, Donna, we can hear you, but we can't. You're frozen, but we can hear you.
Hi, you can hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you.
We can hear you. Go ahead, sis. Donna, there she go.
Can y'all hear me? Okay, I'm sorry. I guess because I paused. Anyway, let me try to get it out. So I was invited with a group of people. We were there. I was like, you know what? I'm going to go. Because if I don't go into the room, then no one's gonna hear our stories. And like, how do I meet you? I expect you to meet me halfway if I don't like extend myself. So anyway, I went, had to invite everything, got there. The team went up. I'm like one of the only ones left. I was the only one left. Secret Service came with like, Miss Hilton, Miss Hilton, you have a do not admit. You cannot go any further. Now the White House is like right over there. I'm like right there in the Secret Service tent. And I was like, soon they walk me out. They're all, have on their rain gear and stuff. The sky's open and it's pouring rain on me. So I was like, what does that mean? What does that mean? But I had that feeling because I was at the front lines of the Women's March in 2017. So I know I was the most high profile in a negative way for them, but I was like, oh, okay, well, I got the invite. It went through. So, okay, all right, maybe this might just be an opportunity, right? To talk about women, talk about violence, talk about those things. Nope. Walked me right out. Secret Service in the rain, didn't care. Talking about I had to do not admit I could never enter the White House. So I'm like, when I hear and like I gotta call this out, how I am. Ice Cube, you talking about the Trump administration like want to talk to you about? Come on now, come on. How dumb can we be?
Ice Cube called you?
No, I'm saying he's saying that the Trump administration, the White House reached out to him and want to talk about like the platinum deal for Black people. First of all, we have to look at the coded words and messages here. Platinum. Come on now, come on. Yeah, well, I have something to say about that.
Be good. Yeah, if it's platinum, it's got to be good.
Oh, come on. Yeah, but that's coded. It's racist. Yeah, it's racist. We need to get out of that. First of all, you know what I mean? So you say like, they have 2 pages of the deal, like the Black deal. Like, who needs to do that? What do you don't need to write anything for anybody? All you got to do is stop being racist. Be anti-racist.
So Donna,
make sure that you give the Black communities the things that they need. Come on, you know how I get.
Yeah, I know. So Donna, I know you got a book out now. Can you tell us a little about the title of your book and what's the name of it?
Yes.
And what's the book about?
Yes. The name of my book is called A Little Piece of Light, and it's my story. It tells the story of before, when I was a little girl in Jamaica growing up, how I was brought to this country, what happened to me, how I got, caught up into a crime that, was a horrible crime, a kidnapping and murder, and the time that I did at Bedford, the 27 years I did at Bedford Hills Correctional Facility, and the women that I met and I humanized, I humanized them, I humanized myself, and I tried to show us, especially them, as human beings, as people, women, that no one wanted to help. I really wanted to show who America locks up and why.
So Donna, where can we get the book, Donna?
Yeah, where can we find it?
Okay, yeah. So my book is available on Amazon, Barnes and Noble, on Hachette Publishing, and that's my publisher. Most major bookstores, mom and pop stores, you can find it. A Little Piece of Light. And here's I'm putting on my mask so y'all can see. That's my thing.
Always gotta promote.
That's right.
You got any social media pages you want to give out?
Yeah. So yes, I don't hide, even though I get death threats and the Proud Boys and all these other QAnon and everybody comes after me. I'm Donna Hylton on social media, Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, some others, LinkedIn, and I also have a Little Piece of Light page because I just opened. Yesterday was the grand opening of my organization's office.
I was going to ask you about it. Tell people what that's about. How are you serving? How are you serving the community? How are you serving the community?
Yeah. So I started when I came out, right? I started it came organically doing the work. I was doing it inside, so I started doing it out here. But one of the things I maintained was that I was going to do my best to highlight and uplift the women and girls that continue to be overlooked. And so I created an organization finally to focus on women and girls who suffered abuse, trauma, violence, and incarceration. And so we have a headquarters in Brooklyn. We're also located in LA, and where we focus on policies that are specific to women, but people overall, because we're doing some stuff now to get rid of this electoral college and all this other stuff. We try to make sure during this time of COVID, it's been really hard. So we were fortunate enough to be able to help get PPP equipment to the women in the prisons, and also food, because food was short. We've done it out here for the community, the women who are impacted out here as well, because we're the most underserved, again, the most underserved community.
I got one more question before I let you go. So, you had a lot of black people speaking about how bad Kamala Harris is, and Joe Biden with the 94 crime bill, which also had to have Republicans and Democrats, and you had the Black Congressional Black Caucus, and you had the preachers, and you had the community activists,
Absolutely.
all for this in 94. So, what do you say to people that like against Kamala Harris and Joe Biden, and they saying they're not for black people, they want to lock us up, and those other? What are your thoughts?
Well, I'm gonna say this. So I was featured. I was in the video, the We the People, right? The opening of the DNC, and the last night. 5 years from now, what is it that we see? So I chose to do it. I'm not a fan of the things that Biden, a whole bunch of them done. But one of the things I'm going to say is, right now, our very lives are on the line. We have an opportunity with this one where we get them in to be able to create the system that we want, right? To put people in places that we want and we need them to be. We don't have an opportunity with this demon. We don't have an opportunity with 45. There's like absolutely no way you can really believe that. And I've heard some brothers on the gram and other places talk about, oh yeah, well, Trump is my dude. He gave me $1,200. He didn't give you anything.
No.
He didn't give you anything, and he still doesn't want to give it to you. And he's just doing that so he can get your unwoke self to believe in the white savior. First of all, we have this mentality that we think that white people, oh my God, if there's no white people, and then it's not going to happen. It's not good. Like, we don't need that. Kamala Harris, whether she's African American, I'm not African American, right? But I'm black as black. And it shouldn't even matter. That shouldn't even matter. I know she wasn't great in California. She wasn't good when she was a DA. She didn't do some good stuff. But the bottom line is you have the capacity, the ability to talk to them, to make some changes. If you saw someone like me on the video for the DNC for that night, that week, they're not saying something. When that other one shut me out of the White House. So let's be clear. Let's look at what's being said here.
Right. Donna, go ahead. Sorry. Somebody will say something?
No, I was just saying, it was just, with it seems like with Biden and Kamala, we do have at least an audience. You know what I mean? They do have to at least listen.
Yes.
Versus Trump. You know what I mean?
Yes.
It's just
yes.
whatever.
There is no other option. There's no other option.
Yeah, and stop trying to get into these spaces, into these people where want to use you to show and whatever. Like, I made a hard decision. They asked me, and they didn't rush. This is just, and we laid it out. And I let them know I was a victim of the crime bill, so I know it well. There's a whole lot of other folks, our skin folk, talking about it that don't even that can't even relate to it. So please, with that, please, our lives are on the line. This is not a joke. Our lives are on the line here.
Yeah, look how many white men federal judges he just put in. So, and I got friends facing federal time as we speak. So,
right.
With that said, Donna, thank you so much for coming today, for chopping it up with us today. I love you, sister. Tell us again where people can find your book at, and where how can they follow you on Instagram.
You can find A Little Piece of Light on Amazon, Barnes & Noble, most major bookstores, not all of them, mom and pop stores. A Little Piece of Light, A Little Piece of Light. We have a website on Instagram, Donna Hylton. I'm on Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, LinkedIn, Hide. It's a Hylton, DONNAHYLTON.
That's right, Hylton with a Y, not the I.
Donna,
Hylton with a Y.
Donna, you stay strong. You are a huge inspiration.
Thank you.
Fantastic.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
Love you, sister. Appreciate you. Thank you.
All right. Much love.
Get on safe. All right.
Thank you.
Cool.